Hey, so welcome back to the Cornerstone YouTube channel. This is the second part of our interview kind of tips series. So this part is the things not to do in an interview. I think we've got some good ones here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking from experience for the first one.
Yeah.
Don't show up hangover to your first interviews, which I definitely think I did interview a hangover with you.
Really?
The first time, yeah. That's why you hired me, probably.
I was probably hungover too, so I didn't
Right.
notice. Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, be professional, If you have a party the night before, just don't go. Stay home, go to the gym.
Turn up fresh. Yeah.
Turn up fresh, So on a more serious topic, okay, what would be like a really serious advice you would give our audience?
One thing I think you should not do is try not to be too argumentative with the interview. Now, a lot of interviewers can be quite confrontational.
Oh, absolutely.
At times,
yeah.
right? And often that is a deliberate strategy to see if they can bring out that kind of argumentative side or confrontational side of the candidate. So really, if you are in that type of interview, you can be firm and you can be confident in your opinions. But I think once you cross the line into being argumentative or turning it into an argument, the interview is done at that point. Absolutely done. And listen, it may be that you come out of it and you think, actually, I didn't really like the person that met me, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to be considered for the opportunity, just be aware of the balance between answering directly, being confident, and arguing.
Yeah, especially because if a company wants to hire you, right, they don't want to bring on board somebody that from day one is already gonna argue about. I don't know how things are done in the company. As a new employee, you have to have a fresh-minded approach and be flexible about, again, how things are done in your new company. So certainly arguments and strong arguments, in general, I don't think are welcome. The second point for me would be the sort of work-life balance topic. I think work-life balance is important for some people. Not for everybody, but for some people, it's a really important thing. But I think it shouldn't be brought up at the beginning of the interview. I think if you care about the job, your priority should lie somewhere else. So I think
it's a red flag for some companies. If that's the first question you ask, like, hey, what time can I leave? Then that could be a red flag.
Yeah.
It's important to find out at some point so you can make a decision as to whether you're going to accept this job or not if you get offered it. But don't avoid the red flags early.
Yeah, work-life balance. I think the same thing with the flexibility of work, is it a full remote, is a hybrid system. I think that there are, again, important things to know about the job. And again, especially if you are talking to a recruiter, the recruiter should inform you about what are the conditions of this job, right? But again, when you interview, I think the first criteria for you, your first objective should be actually to impress the company and the person is interviewing, and ideally you want to get an offer. After you get the offer, of course, you have a little bit more negotiation power, and you can, again, be a slightly more aggressive in demanding certain conditions around work-life balance and type of working environment.
I think related to that is salary negotiation. So we all want to get the best salary possible when you apply for a job, but I think, of course, if you get asked the question directly, it's fine to tell them what your current salary is, right? And it's fine to say something like, hey, I'm looking for an increase, but you don't want to get into a salary negotiation until the company really wants you. So that should happen later on in the process. You're going to get a much better salary once you've met 2 or 3 people, everybody's kind of on board thinking, oh, this person's great, we got to hire them. That's the time when you are at the highest value and you can actually negotiate the best salary.
And I think just be realistic about salary negotiation. We've been doing this job for many years, and we interviewed a lot of candidates with crazy and unrealistic expectations, about salaries. I think it's not really good, for any candidate to, demand a huge price for themselves, a huge salary, and then, you have to remember that when you start, and actually when you're going to be working on the company with those crazy demands, the pressure will be on, and the employee is going to evaluate you extremely harshly on that. So my suggestion is, like any negotiation, I think just be realistic and kind of leave something on the table for the other party. Make sure there is a little bit of room, that you don't take all the money. Make sure you get paid fairly, of course, but also, again, leave something on the table for the other party. I think that will go a long way in building a very long-lasting relationship. And if you are a valued employee, like most companies will pay you handsomely, I think.
Yeah. I think there's also kind of linked to that about creating this sense of the company wanting you, right?
Yeah.
A bit of urgency. I personally don't think it's wise to tell a company that they are the only place that you're applying to.
Yeah.
Right? I know some companies have a bit of an ego about that, but generally, most companies, if they like you, and if they know that they have competition to get your signature and you're applying to a couple of other great companies, well, you're probably going to get a better salary. You increase the likelihood of actually getting the job because you seem like you're a candidate in demand, which is what you want. And I think that's really valuable advice. I think the old school attitude of, look, you're the only company I'm applying to because you're the best. Yeah, it's flattering for the company, but it's not the best thing for you to get the best deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
And you maybe look a bit desperate.
Is it flattering though? Like, I would be concerned, if
For some companies,
yeah,
not for us.
No, not for us. I think I think it's very important. Like, if you're in tech, for instance, and you want to go for big tech, apply to two, three companies, and make them want you. Try to compare, I think, what are the perks, what is the culture, right, and this kind of stuff.
Let them know that you're doing that.
And let them know that you're doing it, right? I think a candidate interview only for one company and is desperate and maybe a little bit obsessed of working at a company, to me screams a little bit of desperation, actually, So I think, again, it's important to have options and, keep your option open. And sometimes, again, work with the recruiters, because recruiters can introduce you that, outside of the box, like company that you haven't thought of, and a company that maybe might be better than, some of the usual names that you see in the market all the time.
I think the last thing, which is kind of a specific point, is, and because I've experienced this, is don't name drop unless you actually really know the people.
Yeah.
Because it has backfired with me, actually, with people interviewing me, where they've name dropped, hey, I know this person, trying to impress me. And when I've said, okay, actually me too, I had dinner with that person last night, and they clearly have maybe even never met them.
Then blank them,
right? It really is it's a big no-no, and it makes you look a little bit silly and pretentious.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna maybe question some other aspects of what you're saying.
Yeah, I think if you know somebody for real, that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do actually have a relationship, that's great. Or even if you want to name drop somebody that maybe you met casually,
Fine.
That's fine. Just don't oversell it, I think, right?
Yeah.
If you meet somebody, once 10 years ago at a dinner party, just don't say you're the best friend, to get a job at the company.
I know Mike.
Oh, yeah,
the guy's like, Mike's dead.